Chris,
I hear
when
him
we
coming
get
down
to
the
the,
hall.
sorry, when we get to the update on the Kettle Rock / EPA lien status, I would really prefer that you speak to it because you're working pretty
Okay.
closely with it.
Your stuff is here, Rob.
Again.
Okay,
Holy crap, holy.
call to order. All three selectmen are here.
Thank you.
We also have, the call to order, I'm sorry, at 7:07. All three selectmen are here. We have, Joe Hendrick and Nora Galvin are, present as well. As guests. Welcome. Okay, going right into first selectmen's briefing. Everybody good?
Yes.
Everybody can
Catching
see?
my breath.
You do that. You don't have to talk now. I get to talk. Okay. All right. And Chris, I will give you these afterwards for your minutes. Open positions, in terms of our hires, one thing, Bill, you had asked was about the senior center director / agent for the elderly. And, what was the equivalent hourly rate,
Salad, yeah.
that the salary poses, and it is $21.85 an hour, which is what we had advertised.
Combined?
Yes,
Okay, because the last time I had asked.
I checked it out.
Finance office, she said we were paying Kit like $26 an hour.
Well, this is where I got it from, it's the
Okay.
finance
How
office.
much did you say? 21?
21 and 85 cents.
Okay.
I think that
And that's
I believe we're gonna need to look at that in the grand scheme of things, but we'll get there.
I agree.
Also, I'm scheduling a screening interview with a candidate, hopefully for this week. And once I've screened that person, then we'll see if suitable for a full-blown interview. And we have no other applicants at this time. However, we still have our ads up in a number of places. Let's see, Kettle Rock access for the
Yeah, so
logging.
just to go back on that now. Bonnie has started.
Oh, yeah, and she's a joy,
That's going well. She settled in well.
very well.
And our new person on Public Works has started.
That person has been working for at least 3 weeks.
Okay, and everything's smooth there.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, he's apparently he's a nice little go-getter too.
Yeah.
We've been making some good hires. The okay, Kettle Rock access that was granted for the logging company.
Yeah.
They have completed all of their work basically as of October 10th. And I've received written information from Rick Zulik that the company complied with all requirements in terms of how they handled what they were doing on the
Excellent.
property, and they left it in really, really good order with seating and everything. And they also they actually did something else as well. They, bear with me. They installed water bars to prevent erosion on steep areas within the roadway. So they're still there. And so based upon that and the written confirmation from Richard Zulik, who did a fantastic job monitoring them. He did a great job for our town. I've released the bond. Okay, Ashford Senior Center. The Senior Center is closed until Friday, this coming Friday, October 25th. A number of senior and other activities that were originally scheduled to take place this week in the Senior Center have been moved to senior housing. Jessica and the folks over there have been pretty great about being accommodating. Replacement of carpeting started last Friday, and cove base was removed in all tiled rooms. Floors have been stripped in the bathrooms and along the edges of the large room. And as soon as the carpeting is completed, the large room can be cleared, stripped, and waxed. I'll mention Public Works. For one thing, Public Works did an exceptional job prepping the senior center for moving furniture by moving furniture, cabinets, and other items. I couldn't believe it when I walked in because it also didn't take them very long. They put everything in the center of the big room. And once that carpeting is completed, then they will move things into where the carpeted areas are so that we can finish stripping and waxing the floor in the big room. We do need to address complaints about spreading of invasives in our mowing and roadside repair activities. Got to do something. We're getting a lot of complaints about those. And one of the concerns I have is we don't have adequate public works staff to be able to be more careful or go along and identify these areas and work around them and pull them up. We've got to do it in a certain way. But we are certainly getting a lot of complaints about it and the stuff is spreading.
Are we posting at the Public Works building?
Posting,
Those evasives that we are spreading?
are we posting it for the public works guys?
Well, I forget who it is, but we were inspected a couple of times and told that whatever we were spraying, we were supposed to have a listing of what the content of that was. I remember hearing that a couple of times.
Well, we're not,
Right.
this is not, some of these invasives are not about spraying, they're about pulling them up. Just so you know.
Well, I thought you were talking about corrective actions we were taking. You're
I
talking
will,
about evasives. that
what
are
I
growing
will
on
do,
their
I
own.
talked with Casey about this before, a while back.
Yeah,
So he said that he and the staff are very knowledgeable about the invasives. I didn't think to ask if they have some kind of protocols in place for spraying, et cetera. So I'll follow up on that.
yeah, I don't know if it was a OSHA report or whatever, but they reminded us that of any fluids or weed killers that we were using, we were supposed to have the it's escaping me the name of the list, but the list of the contents of that posted at,
Yeah.
Safety data.
yeah.
And there are some you can't just spray, you have to pull them up. So, and that's very time consuming. We've had some help from the pollinators group when we had invasives in the lawn out in front of Knowlton after the replacement of the the walkway
Yeah,
there.
patio.
Yeah, patio, thank you. And so they actually came in and pulled up what was there
Yeah.
very carefully. Because even if you run tires over some of these things, it spreads them someplace
So
else.
is somebody complaining about us pulling them up or our lack of pulling them up?
Lack of addressing the problem.
Okay. Cause they're everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
We
you've
know,
gotta classify what's included in that
Right.
definition because, and it's not limited to Ashford. I mean,
we're very aware.
Mhm.
It's also illegal in the state of Connecticut to spread them.
I mean, this might be
But we
the,
can't spray them.
Hmm?
But we can't
you know, I
spray them.
mean,
I don't think we can spray, you need a license to spray.
So let me follow up on the requirements around it and on what our guys down at Public Works are doing, okay?
I might suggest that maybe in your spare time, you or Chris, you check with CCM or even NECOG. And, cause I'm sure there are a number of towns and municipalities in the state that have this problem.
Will
If
do.
you start looking, they're everywhere.
Okay, will do. Okay, Ashford website replacement, staff training has been going on. Updates are being made to the website in preparations for a Wednesday, November 13th, 9:30 launch.
11/13?
Yep.
Is there any chance that Roger and I can get briefed on the new system once it comes in and how we angle through it?
We
or
can
whatever?
show you, how about this? Prior to the launch, we'll do a demo.
That'd be fun.
That'd be good.
With me.
Just logging into social security tonight was a freaking nightmare.
How can you get gross in that?
Well, you go down this rabbit hole.
And
got a
from what
letter
I've
from
seen
them
so
lately?
far, I've been able to observe, during training. And I gotta tell you, Karen's turning into a star.
Good,
Excellent.
And also, Bonnie will be trained
excellent.
as well, amongst other people.
Yeah.
Let's see, Veterans Day planning. Now, this is for November 9th. So Chris has been coordinating with representatives assigned by the first selects and the mayors, like, for example, the Mansfield mayor, they don't have a selectman board, from each of the towns to gather accurate information about surviving Korean veterans. This has been no small task for the towns, or for her actually trying to pull the information together. She's drafted letters to invitees, that's the veterans and the dignitaries, and the program has been drafted. I'll do a quick run through on the program just to give you the sense of it. But you'll get copies of our draft, not in the not too distant future, just so that you have that before we get to the true final. We're still waiting for confirmation on a couple of our speakers. So just real quickly, there'll be a welcome, invocation, Pastor Patrick McHugh from Living Proof Church, presentation of colors by the Natchog River Young Marines. The national anthem will be sung by professional singer Val Rogers. I don't know if you know who Val is. While the flag is being raised by the Natchog River Young Marines, they'll do the presentation and the flag raising. Pledge of Allegiance led by Scout Troop 92. Speakers, Ed DeGata. He is the post commander at VFW 938. I'm sure, Bill, you've met him in terms of what was going on last year. We were trying to get Brigadier General retired Ron Welch. He is the, I didn't put it on here. He is,
Connecticut veterans.
he's a biggie. Okay, give me a second. He is the Director, Joint Staff for the Connecticut Joint Force Headquarters, JFHQ. Okay, aside from, Veterans Affairs, but that is his official role, his official title. And also Congressman Joe Courtney, I'm trying to get him as well. We won't know until a couple days before if he's going to be able to be there. So in addition, we have for speakers, Connecticut State Senator Jeff Gordon, May Flexer, also Connecticut Senator, she's over Mansfield. And then what we'll be doing is a presentation of 65th anniversary Korean War Service medals and certificates. The selectmen and mayor or mayor from each town will call out their town's honor roll, while the state representatives, so that's Pat Boyd, et cetera, for each town, present the medals and certificates to veterans from their towns. So we're trying to do something pretty well coordinated. We'll put names on seats, try to get people in the right sequence, that kind of thing as best we can. And we'll also have a couple of the older Troop 92 scouts hold trays that contain the medals and certificates to be presented by the state representative. We'll have another recognition of Korean War veterans from each town who have died. We won't be putting out their names. We'll just be recognizing them. And laying of a memorial wreath for those. And closing remarks, we're hoping to have Congressman Courtney, if he's available. Me, if he's not. And a benediction by Pastor Matthew Grouse, Westford Congregational Church. So I hope that
Sounds nice.
Sounds good.
sounds good. A lot of work's gone into it. I can't thank Chris enough for her coordination. She's also pricing the food because we intend to have it basically catered. And let's see if there's anything else. No, the guys from the VFW have been very helpful. They have strong opinions.
Yes.
Fun to work with them.
Mhm.
But they've come up with some good stuff and they understand some of the basic rules.
Now, I assume the Ashford Volunteer Fire is going to assist us, like closing half of the road there Tremco Lane and like we've done on other occasions?
I have not requested that yet. I didn't want to bother Paul yet, but yes, we
That-
want to close the one lane of Tremco Lane. We don't want to close anything else,
toward- like
just so that we can put chairs there.
Right, like we have in the past.
Yeah.
We're also looking to make sure we have, I'm gonna call it, parking for our veterans, the Korean veterans. They're older, they're in their nineties.
Yeah, if you wanted that.
And we're thinking the old post office parking lot, and for any dignitaries, you know, the politicians that would be coming. And we've conveyed, certainly amongst ourselves, the planning group with the VFW guys, this is not a political event. This is an event that's about
Yeah,
those,
it should.
the veterans and the
Like,
Korean
absolutely.
veterans in particular.
Absolutely.
Do we have an approximate number? Do you know? Just an
You
approximate.
know, at one point, someone was saying, that, you have to think about how many were there last year, for one.
We have
Um,
approximate, we have.
We're like a
we
hundred
have 42
Korean veterans.
In this, in Ashford.
Ashford, Wellington, Mansfield, Eastford. Union has none left,
Okay, so there's
but
42.
they will be
okay.
represented.
Yep.
So, and we just discovered another one today that moved into town 6 months ago.
Okay.
And he is looking forward to this.
Are we making any arrangements for assistance for people crossing the street out here?
The guys from the VFW said that they will help us with
Do
that.
we have to notify the state police of that or anything?
I'm tired of that, to tell you the
No.
truth, because the
I don't think
rigmarole is
so.
awful. No, it's just someone
All you
there.
do is just crossing the street, right?
We're gonna have, we're actually going to have the thing that says you must stop for people in that
Crosswalk.
thing. And if you've got, I'm sorry, I've got a couple burly guys from the VFW with the jackets on, just right there on either side. That would be good. What do you think? Paul?
Then I could send an email to the commander and just say, hey, just so you know, we're gonna close. I mean, he doesn't care about Tremco.
Oh, the commander knows.
Oh, so yeah.
No,
so
we're working directly with
I
the
wouldn't even-
commander. He's part of the core
I
group.
wouldn't even worry about it.
And we're working with the quartermaster as well. And two other, we're working with our own veterans representative. And we're working with Phil
So I was late
Phil
to the party here
from
today. So is that
camp.
on the 11th?
No, it's on the 9th, Saturday, the 9th. It will start at 11 a.m. Okay, and you'll see it in the Ashford Citizen as well on my page. Okay, Yeah.
Catherine, my only suggestion, I don't want to belabor this, but I would have Chris or yourself just send the barracks troop C a notice that we're gonna have that heavier traffic than normally expected. And
excellent idea, thank you.
just so
And
you-
no suggestion gets ignored, believe
Yeah.
me. Okay,
It's at 11 o'clock on the 9th.
Mhm.
Make sure I have the right date.
it's on Saturday,
Saturday, the
11 o'clock on November 9th, which is a Saturday. The school will hold their event at the school on actual Veterans Day, which is November 11th. And they do a great job.
Yep.
Okay, from what I gather, the general government budget for fiscal year 23-24, 24, get it right. As a result of the audit, the general government budget was underspent by about $200,000. I would like you to consider us implementing the scanning of documents and indexing of them down in the land use department. Our files are full. And also it supports self-service for anybody who wants to go and look. And this was suggested by Mike D'Amato some time ago, and I've gone down there and looked at it. And I'd like you to consider asking the Board of Finance if we can use some of those monies. It's gonna cost about $50,000 to do that work. That's the estimate we have so far. We'll get more estimates. But, should we post this to the Board of Finance as monies we'd like to use from that 200,000. We've already figured out how to do it with the finance department within the budget we have.
Do we have a specific scope of what that would entail, the work entail, with scanning all of those records? And
I'll get
how they'll
you,
be
I'll get
filed
you a
and-
specific scope, but we're talking about all the records that are down there. Except I don't think the health records would go. I'm not, because
So
they
that
may
would
have personal
include
information.
Inland wetland, building
Oh,
department.
yeah,
And planning and zoning?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
it is a lot, and that's why the amount is as high as it is. But this is something that has been recommended because it's hard to manage what we've got.
I mean, do they do that per page, or how do they come up with a $50,000 rate
I'll get those details for you, okay? All right,
hourly?
Well, like I said, I just remember.
Okay.
Copier, it just scans and converts.
Details.
PDF,
I just wanted you to start to think about
Yeah,
that.
Somebody has to, like.
Yeah.
make sure it goes the
Yeah.
right
We
way,
have an estimate, I just don't have it in front of me. Okay,
Catherine, just to go back
yeah,
to your previous one, general budget for the government was basically a $200,000 surplus. Do we-
yes,
Do we have anything on BOE?
no, I don't have anything on BOA, I didn't ask about them.
Haven't seen it yet.
The Our Town, Our Future stakeholder meeting, community forum was held last Wednesday evening. Over 40 townspeople participated and provided ideas and input about initiatives they'd like Ashford to have with a view towards 2035. They weren't thinking short term, they were trying to think longer term to kind of make sure we create runways. Once I receive the information gathered during the meeting, it will be forwarded to you. It was delightful to have so many people there and so enthused and interested and coming up with what they'd like to see. Okay. That is all that I have as a selectmen's update. Do you have anything you'd like to ask about?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. One, did somebody steal the last of your thing out here in the road? last
I think
time?
so. And when
So
they
that's
put,
what,
when they
three
put
we've
out
lost
this,
now?
we had two. So they put out two at first and they went, you know what, let's take one in.
Oh, they did take.
Oh, they, no, they left that one out, it got stolen. They went to put the second one out, I said, order a third one. Now the second one's been stolen.
And I had a couple of questions. Just going through the POs this time when I was in for signatures.
Sure,
I noticed we have some sort of a dispute going with something called liturgical publications. and
yes,
I'm not familiar with that at all.
okay. So before Kit left, she signed a contract that she was not authorized to sign. She signed a contract with this group. And as part of the contract, I didn't know about it. So eventually got this information because the group contacted me. And what she had arranged for was that in November, starting November 1st, these folks would be putting out a senior center flyer or booklet, much like our Ashford Citizen, and sending it out to people like via email, etc. And some of the requirements were that we were to provide a space for one of their people to work in, along with the internet access, etc., for some of their campaigns. And what happened was, in addition to those folks contacting me, and I didn't realize a contract had been signed. So when they contacted me and said they'd been talking with Kit and everything, what I did was said, okay, well, send me some information on what you're talking about. And I went over, the senior consortium, the group or snap together group. I told them my intent was to, in September, was to bring that up to them to ask if they thought it was something that we ought to have. Because I was thinking maybe that would be a combination of stuff for seniors, based upon what they also have. For example, ASCO. And what happened is we didn't have that meeting. But even prior to that, they kept calling me. And I finally, and what happened was at the last time, it was the same person I'd already spoken to, telling her when I was going to have that meeting. And then 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes after that, another person called me,
Same.
same group.
concern.
And I said, look, I don't want to hear from you until after we have that meeting because I don't know. Well, come to find out, Kit had already signed the contract. She did electronic signature kind of thing. Never told anybody about it. I read the contract and I just felt that the requirements of the contract were not, by the way, we don't have to pay anything. What they would do is this group would go out and they would solicit advertising for whatever was being put out. So I got a call, actually the senior center got a call from one of the, bear with me, I want to say mortuaries.
Potters, intervene.
I'm not going to tell you which one. Got a call from one of them and said, hey, is this group on the up and up? They've reached out to us. So they were actually off and running without really authorization to do that, in my opinion. So what I did was send it off to town council, let them know what the problem was, let them know that the contract had some onerous requirements in it that we could not meet, which would be, they wanted guaranteed advertisements for at least 25 businesses, from 25 businesses, which I didn't think that we were going to be able to help with. I think also Kit sent some information out to them. She never should have sent maybe some email lists for, say, ASCO members and things like that. So we let the that company know that this is not a company we're interested in working with. And he said, good, because they want to charge $3,500 a year for advertisements from that particular thing. And you have to understand the other part of this is we get advertising money that is for we get from different groups.
Mhm.
That is for the Ashford citizen.
Right.
And ASCO does the same thing. So this would actually cut into our advertising, which is to support the towns of communications. So it's pretty unattractive.
I guess I'm disappointed that Kid wouldn't have run that by this office before signing anything.
Well, what I stated was
Agreed.
she was not authorized to sign that. And the company, our town council sent a letter to the company saying, nope, we're not interested. We also don't feel that these are requirements that can be met. And the company has since pushed back and said, well, you said you're going to do it. And they didn't say you ought to have known that Kit signed it, which is like, we can't even fight that. The bottom line is, even if we don't do anything, first of all, we weren't going to have to pay for it anyway. So they can try and pursue it if they wish, but I don't think they're going to get anywhere, and advice has been to ignore them, town council's advice, until they try to do something else. So I'm not looking at that as possible litigation at this point, so we're not going into executive session. Should it come up, we will take everything else in executive session. And I hope that was a good decision. I think it was.
Well, I think I think you have to, just,
Okay.
Yep.
And it had to be done quickly because they were honest.
and I have another question, but it's on the agenda, so I'm done.
Very good. Okay, so was there anything else, Chris, that I might have missed that we've been, believe me, we've been in the thick of it with so many things right now. I'm lucky I got these down for you. Okay, that's the end.
I'm empty.
I'm over full. Okay, so the next part of our meeting is
Minutes.
acceptance of the minutes of October 7th.
Julia?
I'm trying to remember if I was even here.
I don't think you were.
Yeah, I wasn't here, I was
So moved.
left. Abstain.
Second, that's
Aye.
me. Aye, thank you. And Roger, you abstain.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, here for boards, commissions, committees? Nothing? Old business, Ashford School replacement project status? It's pretty simple. They're finishing up their work and walkthrough is slated for next Monday at 9:30.
Did you ask about that M and O manual that I talked about the last time with?
No,
Lien
I'm sorry,
waivers.
I forgot, and I will follow up. I'm
That's
sorry.
important.
I'm trying to think of why we would have something like that for a roof.
Well, they've used certain materials on that roof. And you want to make sure that you have, and that the school has a copy of warranties and guarantees
Yes,
on any and all materials.
we will, and
If the general contractor brought in any subs to do anything else, those subs need to put in lien waivers or releases, which release both the town and the Board of Ed, plus the general contractor. But
so I was gonna say, our architect approved all substitutions.
well, that's fine, although they should also been run by you.
They
But-
were,
But
they were.
if they brought in subcontractors, you need verification that those subcontractors are
Were paid.
satisfied, that they've been paid, and that we've met our end of the contract. And that's for litigation purposes, 5 or 10
Oh,
years down the road.
I get it, yeah. I'm thinking our skylight is being manufactured by they've subcontracted that.
If they brought in any new area, I didn't go through the whole list. of
I
stuff.
understand what you're asking about. I'm just saying off the top of my head,
Yeah,
that's the one
yeah.
that jumps out at me, but I will definitely ask the
You
question.
know, like the skylight that I guess is still on order.
That's what
when
I'm
that-
talking about.
When that comes in and you need to know how long that's guaranteed for, and you should have a book.
Yep,
That
yep,
clearly says that.
Yep.
And also that contractor that it's been ordered from needs to give you a lien release. Waiver. Release, whatever you wanna call it.
How'd everything go with the firehouse roof? All good?
That one, wow.
Good.
Yeah, except the solar part, where they forgot to plug part of it in apparently.
thank you, Bill. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, the only thing other, I noticed that again, going through the POs that I signed, we have one more change order.
The fourth one is a release of it's a bond release charge, and it's $874, something like
I
that.
saw something for 3,000 something.
Oh, that was the one, that was number 3.
That was the one before.
Yeah, that was number
I
3.
didn't notice the $800 one, so.
Yeah. it
That's the
hasn't been
fourth one will be
processed
that
yet
one.
because we haven't got the change
So,
order.
so right now roughly we're at 2,900,000.
I know we're under budget,
We're under budget.
okay, and
I don't need to figure, but.
yeah, I have it here somewhere. Because I keep track. Okay, and so does Chris. Okay, any more questions
No.
on
No,
anything?
and looking at it from the street, I haven't got in up there and I'm not gonna get up on the roof, but
I got pictures.
job looks real nice.
I have pictures
It
that,
looks like a major improvement. Quite often you'll go through $1 million or $2 million roof project and don't see anything. I mean, this looks materially, you can see where it looks nice.
the,
Hopefully it lasts as long as it looks.
right, and you can actually see the effect of, remember that first change order
Yeah,
that we got socked
the
with?
big one.
You can see the effect of what they put up there as a result of that change order. The solar guy, took a drone and put it over there, on, Saturday. But in addition, Garland has been monitoring this project all along.
They
So,
better for
and
what
they've
we
caught,
paid for it.
they've caught, well, yes and no. They're a little bit intrusive, but anyway, and actually they did catch something that the architect did not. Okay,
I mean, there's another example with that product there's a warranty guarantee
right,
paperwork on it, and that
Right.
would go into that book.
right. So I will definitely do that follow-up, make sure that that is what they're producing. Okay, anything else?
That's
Any
all I
other
have on
questions
that.
about what you've signed or all of that?
No, those were the only two notes I made.
It's been busy. Okay, so moving into the rest of this, we did the improvement on the, I'm sorry, okay. Finalized town building use fee schedule and Ashford Food Bank donation policy. Please don't ask me about that today. Thank you,
Consider it not asked.
thank you.
We're good.
I mean,
Pending,
we're going along fine anyway, right now.
yeah, we are. Update on Kettle Rock EPA lien status. Chris and I have had a conversation with our council on that, with Ann. And we've given a heads up to Peter Tanaka that we'd like to, that Ann would like to get together, get us together.
Mhm.
But Chris can explain what's going on in a better than I can.
EPA has been pressuring in for the past couple of years.
Can everybody hear that's on here? Joe, can you hear? Just be mindful of there.
Okay.
Yes.
So EPA has been pressuring town council for the past couple of years to renegotiate the lien. They want to know what the status is of our project. And since we're really the only ones in it at this point, we have to educate Peter to be able to do any dealing with EPA. And, you know, Ann is comfortable with the explanations. And she's comfortable dealing with EPA because she does it all the time. They want to make, EPA wants to set something, I think, more formal on the use of the property. If there's gonna be a developer, EPA is gonna want some money. If it's gonna be public use, recreational use, they will probably forgive most of the lien. So she's floated the idea with them, which she's floated with us, of mixed use. So depending on what we decide the commercial portion of the property would be. That would be in EPA's interest to do something and keep part of the lien in place. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. Now, this thing that we were hoping for to work with Yale never materialized.
No,
I
they
mean,
have.
one of the critical parts about that, Catherine and Roger, if you guys remember, was our impression that we had got, and then it changed last minute. They were gonna go in there and delineate wetlands,
That's what we need.
ledge areas,
Right.
and that would lead to us then being able to say
This is-
20 or 30% is developable for
Right.
commercial use, 70 is not.
Right,
Right,
So
so,
in my thought, we've got to come up with a mechanism to do that. If Yale is not gonna help us out,
I feel the same way.
we're good, I mean, that's, when I heard we had never delineated the wetland on it, I was shocked. How many, I mean, it's been 30 years. So and I don't know, I'm assuming Ann will agree with that because that's the only way we're gonna get to what she's saying we need to do.
right.
So I think
So-
we,
What we've been discussing is the next time, was it the Brownfield Area-Wide Revitalization Grant, that's the bar grant. We missed it last year, we missed the deadline. This year when it opens again, I started putting together stuff for the application. The grant enables you to do the community visioning, which we've done. Analysis of existing environmental conditions. The assessments are done already. They would map the brownfields, they would do market demand studies and feasibility analysis, infrastructure analysis, roadway and street planning, site inventory, cost benefit analysis, site redevelopment plans, conceptual designs. These are all things that you could do with this grant money.
And if I
So-
understand correctly, Chris, the one thing they won't be doing, as they don't mention there, is surveying the land. In other words, identifying where the wetlands are and that kind of thing. Which is what we need, I believe, in order
Which
to
which an
come.
A1 would show.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that if that's not covered within there, then we have to find monies to do that.
We still are, to what extent is the remediation requirement going to impede any movement forward?
My
We still have to
recollection was
finish the
we had a-
remediation.
We had a very small amount. Chris, last time we looked, it was about $100,000.
I thought it was more.
Yeah, and then we
24.
had to keep, as the years went by, we had to keep increasing that because the cost
What
increased.
did you remember?
I thought I remembered something like 400,000.
We
Uh,
put in for 3,
Okay,
But that included other things.
That
We
included
knew it was more than
engineering.
we needed.
okay, all right.
I thought we got 200,000 and that's what we used for our, when we worked with a company that went in to identify where where the rest of the
That's why I
remediation
think
needed
it
to
boiled
occur.
down to about,
I thought it was
and this is old
200,000.
information, but about 100,000 to 150 to do the final remediation in some very limited areas. But we've all got to refresh ourselves with that again.
Right.
Right,
There needs to be an A1 survey done on the property. I think the best thing we could do is get some professional advice on what an A1 survey on that many acres would run us.
I can, I am
There's
working with,
definitely surveys.
I'm
already been
working
done.
with someone who is surveying our the town's boundary against another property.
Yeah,
And so I can ask them about that. I could start, that's one place to start. And we can certainly talk with some other surveying groups.
yeah.
But this is one that we've worked with before. They're pretty reliable.
Is this parcel, what is it, 300 and some odd acres now?
combined with both towns.
Combined with both towns. It's a
Alright,
large,
so
it's
one
a
of
big
the,
job.
one
Yeah.
of the things that's eligible, analysis of existing environmental conditions, which I assume would cover mapping the wetlands.
Hope so.
And other issues, conditions in the area, building condition survey, there are no buildings. Historic property, there is none. Historic survey, I'm not quite sure what that means. And what this grant will do is enable us to make a plan,
Right.
and we can't get a remediation grant without a plan.
Which is why we were so happy with the Yale proposal that we,
Right. And
Didn't
they
end up
decided
getting-
it was totally out of their bailiwick to do. They could do forest, that's it.
Well, it goes with that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it
Yeah.
probably isn't. It wasn't.
Right.
So that's what's going on with that. Chris, do we have anything more we can share at this point?
The only other thing related to this grant is that DECD encourages applicants to establish an advisory steering committee consisting of representatives from the community, private sector, regional organizations, other entities and stakeholders. So presumably you would want somebody from wetlands, somebody from planning and zoning.
Someone from the community at large.
Somebody
So-
like Ricky Zulik. Because there's a lot of forest land on there.
Right,
So you want people that are familiar with what you're looking at.
right. We don't want to bring in people who have no clue what this really is. Okay,
So what I did today
Yeah.
is put together a packet for Peter with background information, history. So that when we all talk to him and Ann talks to him, he kind of knows what we're talking about.
Can you give Roger and I a copy of what you're giving Peter so we can get refreshed again?
Yes.
Of course,
I'll
Kat.
get-
That's good.
I'll put it in your box.
I've already seen it. Okay. The next thing on the docket is new business, board and commission appointments. Let's see, economic development, you can see we have the same vacancies. Actually, they're for 2025, not 2024, so they're not really vacancies yet. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's nobody.
No, they expire.
Oh, the-
No seats.
A vacancy that
That's
expired.
gonna
Oh, I see.
expire.
I thought that, yeah, thought we were missing folks.
I have nobody.
Inland Wetlands and Water Courses Commission. We received the
Resignation.
Lenny's resignation.
yeah,
And we
Lenny's
added that
resignation.
seat to the list.
And I had him do that through the town clerk, which is appropriate. And then we have two alternate member seats that are also open. The Ag Commission, we have one position open. Zoning Board of Appeals, one alternate member seat, term of which expires next year. So those are our openings, and I haven't heard from anybody about anybody being interested in them. I didn't put it in the citizen for this month, but I suggest we put it in for next month's to say here, you know, these are the open positions.
Good. I
Okay.
think we ought to do that every month.
Okay,
You were also gonna add in the state police reports
yes, there wasn't room this year,
that
month.
we get.
Okay. I was disappointed. We had, just to, as an aside on the police. It's my understanding that, when people were out here on Friday afternoon waving from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, the political group,
Hmm.
there was a state police cruiser parked in the, church parking lot with radar on. Never stopped anybody. And then left at 5:30.
You said the church parking lot? Up at St. Philip's?
No, I think it was Living
Oh,
Proof.
Oh, Living Proof?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was disappointing.
I don't know if they stop anybody, but I always think just having a cruiser parked there helps.
These guys said they were just whizzing by. Okay, so going to tax refunds, what do we have? None? Approve revised Ashford Fire Department, Volunteer Fire Department Annual Tax Abatement Recommendations, which I believe you received before.
This
I thought we
is
had
a
approved it.
revised
This-
Oh, the
list.
revised ones. I'm sorry. Thank
So-
you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for providing
The
those.
reason I'm here, because I want to apologize, that was my fault entirely, I just attached the wrong year to the letter. So, the changes is there were 2 volunteers who did qualify this year, additional volunteers. So that was my mistake.
So it was the list that we
The
approved.
list that
Plus
you
the
approved
2.
plus 2 additional.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Motion
Paul,
approved
and your forgiveness.
unanimously. Thank you.
All good.
Okay, so now discuss scheduling November special town meeting to bring forward for approval of any additional proposed ARPA reallocations and expenditures.
My suggestion is we schedule something either in the 3rd or 4th week of November. Just knowing we've got a very busy November coming up.
Right, and we have a late
Transition.
Thanksgiving this year.
Yeah.
It's the 28th, I think it
We
is,
never-
28th. So, what would we do? Have maybe a special meeting to go through them in detail?
I would think our board will have at least one meeting to
Oh, yeah.
discuss alternatives and
Right,
put together what we feel should be brought to the town.
very
And
good,
then do what we did the last time with a special town meeting.
right. Okay,
Perhaps there's other things that we have hanging. I can't think of anything off the top
Alright,
of my
bear in
head.
mind that it's gonna have to go in the newspaper again.
So if we make the November issue, it's too late.
It's too late.
Well, maybe the first week in December. I hate to put it off that long, but.
Because you have to get the
after that meeting, then
contracts
we get a
signed.
contract signed.
Yeah,
Right.
wet signatures on those contracts.
Will they accept letters of intent?
Has to be a signed contract.
It's gotta be a wet signature. Okay. I mean, while we're talking about this, can we talk about some things? I know
Let's start.
additional things. In fact, Joe Hendricks asked me after the meeting, you know,
Okay,
if I had anything in mind, and I said, I know we've got 2 items outstanding, one with Scott Pax, and maybe it's a different name now.
Oh,
could you
And
say
we
that
also-
one more time, stop the stop packs?
Scott Pax,
Scott
SCOTT. Yep.
and then we also talked about new masks.
Right, those are all in one.
Oh, it's one.
They
I thought
are
were
one.
separate.
And what was the total on that?
I have it here.
We have it there.
And this is for the fire department.
$179.68.
Could you tell me that again? How much
Well,
it
I
is?
remember it's gonna be more than that.
26,179.68.
Was that for both? There were 2 invoices. or
Cause I
2
thought when we
quotes.
talked the last time, there were like two
Hang on,
pieces of that, Paul.
there were, I'm gonna upload it.
I think one of the reasons it was kind of alluded to as maybe 2 pieces is because there was talking about not doing one that had already been approved and replacing it or expanding that to include part of
Well,
this.
If I remember right, we also talked about, can we do
So,
1 or 2 of them in pieces? And we
Right.
said, well, we've done that before.
so,
Yeah, right.
no, that is, right. So it was the two air packs, the 12 additional masks. Or 2 air packs, 12 masks, which was 21,573, and then the RIT pack, which is the separate rescue pack, was 46. So that's the correct 26,179.
Is the total for both.
68 is a total. I did just ask the vendor today to do, because you were mentioned about completing something, so I said, well, we can complete a truck with 6 air packs. So I asked them for an updated quote, because I don't know if they would cut the price if we bought 2 versus 6. Just to see what that would be, but I mean, if you do the math, 8 times 6 is 48.
And he hasn't got back to you.
No, not yet.
I mean, my thought was when we sit down for deliberations on this, we know that fire and safety apparatus or gear is covered in ARPA. And I think it's probably a good idea that you or we sit down with Casey and find if there's any other, like the fence, if there's any other security or safety issues that he's got on his wish list. And then we put those together to make sure we have applications for the rest of the money.
What is the life expectancy of the DFID systems? And are any of
Because for
those-
7 years plus 1.
Do we have any coming up on
I
date?
just got them all replaced with all that.
Now, we're all set on all of them?
Yep.
Is there one in this building?
7 years. There will be soon. It's
Okay,
sitting in my office.
okay.
Okay.
I know we talked about it.
Yep,
just
we have
haven't seen it.
the wall mounts and units, but between Casey being busy with summer stuff and me being busy with summer stuff, we haven't had a chance to
Yeah,
get
understood.
together, because I gotta get that.
And
we
I
have one for
assume
his
when you
building.
put them in, we'll have some sort of classes for
Yes, the fire department's gonna put together some training classes
Good.
for people.
good. But that was just my thought, and then talking about this thing with the speeding things, I think we ought to discuss that further. I mean, if that system is not gonna be acceptable, maybe we look into ordering some more of these electric the signs that we've already got grants on that,
They're not working. I mean,
well, one
they're
is. you
functioning,
mean-
but they're not.
Yeah.
They're not
Then they function.
changing
They
the,
function,
they're not
but-
changing the behavior.
No,
There
no.
are no consequences. The other thing is, we certainly have issues at the crosswalk. Would someone please tell me, if you know, why, for one, why is there only one pole on one side where you could push the button. If it were working, why was only one pole put in and nothing on the other side? So you push the button, if it was well working, you get across to go over to the library or to town offices, and then you want to go back.
Well, my recollection is
I thought there
they
were.
were on both
Have
sides.
been on the other
I
side.
can answer that question.
Thank you.
There was a pole.
Where'd it go?
It got hit in an accident.
And nobody put it back.
It got totally, the pole and the sign that was just beyond it for the hill, I think, or whatever was there, got completely wiped out.
Thank you, because,
Is it possible that that's why the damn thing's not working?
Oh, probably. That
well,
would be
that's
my
nice to
guess.
have another clue. Excuse me if I whine a little bit, because I've been
Not a
chasing
lot.
this
I
down
don't
for a
know
long
who-
time.
I
Long.
don't know who's
Many years.
responsible for, like, if that would be the person who's responsible for the incident. I would have to go back.
Well, I think that
That was a
person's
long
insurance
time
company,
ago.
Yeah,
that would be covered in that person's liability insurance,
When did that
That
happen?
Which
was
he
a
is
long time ago.
liable to
Several
cover.
years now.
Is there any way to look up the history of that?
I can try to look up when the incident occurred.
I mean, I know we've had a number of accidents out there. I don't remember any, but obviously,
What about the state crashed out of sight?
It was a state road.
Okay,
I
please
wanna
forgive
say
me
it
if I
was a-
express my frustration
Mhm.
in not having this information at all and trying to figure out a way to get it working. I have people, I had a woman here last week. She was, not only was she in my face, but she was also teary-eyed about this whole situation and was saying, I actually said, all you do is talk. Okay, well, you know, because I'm saying we're trying to figure out how to address this. And not having enough information, I didn't even know that it was Public Works that installed this stuff. Okay, and I certainly tried to reach the company that we were working with at the time for the crosswalk, and we got no response from them. Okay, and they're in California.
well, the initial one was put in during Ralph's first
It was a
administration,
Right.
steep grant.
and it was a steep grant.
Right,
The repair, which was 15,000 or 17,000,
Remember.
17,000 for the installation, like 4,000, 5,000 for the repair.
we ended up,
Yeah.
and what I was told was the reason those weren't working was because the plow trucks
Shorted the wiring,
shorted the, you know, because of the lights
The
going
light,
across
yeah.
the road, they shorted that. That's what I've been,
fried the
this
box.
is the first,
they shorted
really-
whatever lights were in the road.
Mhm.
but because those wires were shorted, the whole system went kaput.
Blew the main control box. That
All
main
right,
control
so-
box had to be sent out.
Do we have a record of what company installed those? Could we have them come out and do an evaluation?
I hope you're looking at Chris, not me.
I am,
Our recollection
Of
is
course.
that we did the installation.
Who
but
put
we
the
must
lights
have
in the
bought it
road?
by somebody.
We bought it from the company in California.
But that's no good because we installed them.
But we went out.
I have to pull the files out. They're in the
No, I know.
upstairs in the vault.
We would have installed them in the road, the lights in the road too.
We had.
Permission from
paid through the
DOT.
nose for troopers.
Right.
Yeah.
And it must have been overseen by DOT. They had to sign off.
It was.
So that is one thing that
Trying to
we
figure out
can,
how
we'll
to
have to do it in short order. Get some information about, okay, we don't need lights on the road.
I heard
Okay, we
somebody
don't
wants
need
to
them
build a
plowed
bridge
up.
over the-
What we need are, you know, working poles, 2 poles, working things and flashing things that are down the road a piece this way and down the road a piece that way. You
Yeah.
can tell I come from country up north.
They minus the lights in the road, which never worked anyway. I mean, I don't think, you couldn't see them unless you were crossing the road. It's not the pedestrian.
And who's gonna notice those lights when they've got
Right,
Cumbies lit up
But
next
the
to it?
system that I envision there, and I've mentioned this before, I don't know if you've had a chance, are the crosswalk systems that they've got on 32 near the school there in Willington and also up by the church. They seem to be, and now they've tied them in with speed indicators too.
Oh, yeah, so when you push the button, it flashes there.
Yeah. Well, it flashes in 2 places.
Yeah.
One, at either end, it
Right.
flashes, stop coming up. And then at the stop, it's got red lights.
So here's what we did, or here's what I did, which was talked with Public Works. The woman who was talking to me said, oh, well, what happened was years ago, teenagers stole the batteries from those flashing things. So I'm going, this was a red herring. So I contact Public Works. Casey he's on vacation. He's now back, which is nice. Talked with someone in Public Works and said, oh yeah, I had so-and-so, I instructed so-and-so to replace the batteries. Found out that didn't happen. Okay. Originally, I heard that when they went to replace the batteries, the bolts were stripped. Okay, so you fix that.
So before that, when Joey was still here,
Yeah,
he sent Nick and Jordan
yeah.
to replace the batteries. That's when they found that the bolts were stripped.
So what happened with this was Jordan and Brandon, our new guy, went out and they put batteries in there and it still didn't work. Now I have to call that lady who sat here.
Assuming the whole wiring.
Now I have to call the lady who sat here, who was so upset, sat here during my conversations with these guys. I've got to call her back and say, oh, we did that final thing and we found out it didn't work. And then I've got to have an answer for what are we going to do next? So this is something we can look at and go, I will double check what they've got over in the other areas. But if that's the case, it is dangerous
How
out
didn't we
there.
appropriate ARPA designation for that? For $20,000
Crosswalk,
crosswalk? It's on our list already. We
you'll
may
need
wanna-
more, I think you'll need more than
We may
20,000.
want to increase it.
So let's find out.
But
What
we
would-
have two crosswalk things.
One was with signs.
We have Route 44 crosswalk for 20. And then we have. Wasn't there?
There was
another one? Yes,
signs. for-
Crosswalk signage for 20.
Yeah,
We
I
have
don't know,
no
40,000.
documentation on what those are. So the whole thing needs to be looked at,
Refined.
okay? That'll keep us that'll keep us busy.
So anyway, maybe we want to look at the first week in December?
If we have to have the,
So, yeah. If it's first week of December,
How much did that add for that meeting Saturday cost us in the Chronicle?
$942.
There's a good legitimization for this
hey,
citizen.
if it costs that, it costs that.
Well, I know,
Oh,
but
yeah,
still,
yeah,
it's just,
It's a,
I'd like to know how many of the people that were there actually saw that ad though.
Obviously, Vinny didn't.
There's a lot of them that,
no, they didn't.
I got all sorts of complaints.
Oh.
You guys didn't advertise it. I said, I know we advertised it in the Chronicle.
We must.
Whether you read it or noticed it or not, I have no
And the
idea.
thing is, the time frame between having the cutoff of what goes into the citizen and what you have to announce in your meeting is too great for it to come out in the citizen. We get lucky when it's something that is not quite like that in terms of the timeframes you have to meet. They have the same thing with planning and zoning.
Well, my
So-
suggestion for timing to try to use the citizen if we can.
So then
be
what
the
we
first
would
or
have,
Second week in December.
what we would have to do is, as we go into November, we gotta have our work session and whatever, okay, which the public can sit in on. We have to have that done and decisions made about what we want to put forth in the meeting notice or whatever. We need to have that pretty much done by the time we get to the 15th of November.
I agree.
Because then I can at least say in my blurb, hey, we're gonna have another one of these meetings. And then, and look to I'll tell them, look to the Chronicle for the formal final ad
or in our website.
or on our website.
Our website doesn't meet the legal criteria anymore.
Never did.
That's something we ought to talk to our
But
legislators.
they keep trying to introduce it.
They do.
Well, we ought to
Well-
encourage them to do it again and maybe
We gotta keep,
try to see if
We gotta keep
CCM
the-
can back us.
gotta keep the Chronicle alive.
They died a long
Does the
time
leg-
ago.
does the legislator own that?
All right,
So if we do December 2nd is the first Monday. You basically have 3 weeks before Christmas. Christmas is on a Wednesday.
could you say that one more time? If December 2nd is
On Monday.
A Monday,
a Monday,
right,
and we're saying that we would have the town meeting on that day.
Ideally,
because we only have
3 weeks
Really?
before Christmas.
3 weeks till Christmas.
Christmas, New Year shutdown.
Understood. I'm just making sure I got it right. So that means that we have to have, like I said, we've got to have our meetings to discuss this, make sure we got our numbers right for everything we're looking at. And to bring forth by the 15th to make a final decision.
And it gives us 2 or 3 weeks in November to do that, besides all the other crap going
Yeah.
on in November.
You figure, you look, I'm gonna make you guys do some work.
All right, so December 2nd it is.
Okay, but we'll have to have some special meetings to get this
Okay.
worked out. And
Well,
we
I
need
think what
to,
we oughta
we need
do
to
is-
ensure that the public knows that they're going on.
is firm up on the figures that we have. Paul is, I guess that 26,000, or you've got another one coming in.
I'll give you both and you can.
We'll have that in a
figure
matter
out
of a
the
couple of
plan, yeah.
days, figure out where we are on our figures. Cause we're gonna wanna be able to utilize all the money accessible to us through ARPA at that meeting or
Right.
dedicated.
And if we're able to, in terms of determine what to do out here, that, you know, in terms of safety,
It's probably gonna
then,
be done.
so that's gonna be a special time.
Yep.
But we also need to make sure that the public is very aware if that's what we're doing and they can sit in. They can make some comments so that we have some sense of, you know, what they're suggesting as well.
I've got 8:14,
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
A second? We're adjourned.
Thank you.
I mean, I know after the meeting, Janet Bellamy was asking me about a ARPA list and where the money stood, and I said, well, you know.
We've got it.
We'll produce
Yeah,
that for
yeah.
the public.
Yep.
Okay,
It's
I think-
Not just for
unfortunately
us.
becomes a moving target.
I know.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, it's been listed at every meeting you've had,
Okay.
every
I know,
town
yeah,
meeting.
well, she was asking me about it, and I,
but when we go to do that notice for that work, I'm gonna almost call it a working meeting, but it's still a meeting that'll be Zoom as well. So the public can be involved. I'd rather have it happen there than have it fly up in our faces during the town meeting. Because that will be the last one. If they don't approve what's put before them, then that money's lost.
Mm.
Okay. So, okay. Good night, everybody. Good night, Joe. Good night, Nora.
Thank you for having us.